So it starts with a storm. I mean, a really, really bad one.
Oh yeah, thunder, lightning.
The ship is literally cracking apart. People are screaming. The bosun is just yelling at everyone.
It's pure chaos.
We all know the opening, the William Shakespeare's The Tempest, is probably the most famous shipwreck in all of literature. And usually when we read it, or let's be honest, when we kind of suffer through it in high school,
Right.
we take it at face value. It's a fantasy. You've got a wizard, you've got a monster, some spirits, a revenge plot.
And it's broadly considered Shakespeare's farewell to the stage. The standard reading is that it's his final bow, where he, breaks his staff, drowns his book, and gives up his magic.
Right. A lovely, sentimental goodbye. But that is the standard reading. Today, we're looking at something,
Yeah.
well, entirely different.
A lot different.
We're digging into a theory that says this play isn't a fantasy at all. It's a code, an elaborate structural map of ancient religious rites and a secret philosophy.
A philosophy designed to trigger a spiritual evolution in the audience. It is a heavy claim, but it's a fascinating one.
We are working off an analysis by Mather Walker titled Mystery Symbolism in the Tempest from sirbacon.org. And Walker argues that if you pull back the curtain, the man behind the wizard Prospero isn't Shakespeare the actor from Stratford,
No.
but the philosopher Francis Bacon. And the story isn't about a shipwreck. It's about the initiation of the human soul.
Exactly. This is one of those deep dives where you really have to suspend what you think you know about the play.
For sure.
Walker's whole argument rests on this idea that the Tempest is an allegory for the ancient mysteries, specifically the rites of Eleusis and Mithra.
Okay, let's pause there, because Ancient Mysteries sounds like something you'd find on a late-night History Channel documentary.
It does, yeah.
Could you kind of break that down for us?
Wow.
What are these mysteries?
Sure. So think of them as secret religious schools in the ancient world. Greece, Rome, Persia, they weren't open to the public. You had to be an initiate. And they promised that if you went through their rituals, which were often pretty terrifying and very theatrical, you would learn the secrets of the universe, the destiny of the soul.
And the bridge between Shakespeare or maybe Bacon and these secret cults is Bacon himself?
That's the theory. Walker points to this specific line in Bacon's Advancement of Learning. He writes, usque ad auras,
Which is Latin for?
even to the altars. It was Bacon's way of saying he'd follow the truth wherever it led, even if it meant diving into the very heart of pagan religious mysteries.
So Bacon is the architect and the play is the blueprint. Okay. So let's start with the foundation. Walker talks about the Persian Magi.
Right.
Now, I know the Magi from the Bible, the three wise men, but I'm guessing this is something older.
Much older. The Magi were the priests of ancient Persia, and their philosophy centered on a really specific concept. Dualism.
Good versus evil.
Yeah, but more cosmic than that. The idea that the universe isn't just one thing, but it's locked in this eternal war between two equal opposite forces. You have Ahura Mazda, the creator, the god of light and good, and opposing him, you have Ahriman, often symbolized as a serpent, the god of darkness and evil.
And Walker's argument is that the Tempest is built entirely on this binary.
The whole play is a chessboard.
And he claims the timing of the play actually proves this.
He does. Think about when the play ends. Prospero says their work is done at the 6th hour.
6 p.m. sunset.
Exactly. The perfect moment of balance between day and night. It also marks the end of Prospero's 12-year rule on the island.
Another balance point.
It's all about reaching this point of equilibrium, where light and dark are held in check.
So the stage is set at the equinox. But the really cool part for me was how this whole light versus dark thing gets mapped onto the characters. He calls them the 12 principles.
Right. It's not a random cast list. It's two opposing teams.
6 principles of light, 6 of darkness.
Derived from Ahura Mazda and Ahriman.
So on Team Light, you've got Prospero, obviously.
Yeah.
Then Gonzalo, the good old counselor.
Yeah.
Ferdinand, the romantic lead. Miranda, the daughter. Ariel, the spirit. And 2 minor guys, Adrian and Francisco.
And on Team Darkness, you have King Alonso, his scheming brother Sebastian, the usurper Antonio,
And then the sort of low characters.
Trinculo, Stefano, and the monster Caliban.
It's easy to just say, these guys are good, these are bad. But Walker points out these specific face-offs that are, they're pretty convincing.
They're almost mirror images of each other.
They're, like Take Ariel and Caliban.
That is the strongest example. I mean, think about it. They were the only two natives of the island. Everyone else just washed up there.
Right.
But look at their elements. Ariel is a spirit of the air. He flies, he makes music, he represents intellect and light.
And Caliban is all earth. He crawls, he hauls wood, he's described as a fish or a beast.
Heavy, dark materiality. Then you have Miranda versus Caliban.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. They were both raised by Prospero.
Both of them. Both were taught the same language, the same lessons.
And Caliban has that great line, "You taught me language, and my profit on is I know how to curse."
Exactly. Same input, totally different output. Miranda turns learning into virtue. Caliban turns it into, well, deeper evil.
The good soul versus the evil soul.
And then you get Gonzalo versus Antonio, just the archetypal good man versus the archetypal evil man. It really is a chessboard.
It is. But the game doesn't start on the island. It starts on the boat.
Yeah.
And this is where the allegory got really trippy for me.
Yeah.
Walker says the shipwreck isn't a maritime disaster, it's a birth.
A birth, or more accurately, a descent. In the
Right.
Western mystery tradition, Plato, the Egyptians, they all had this belief that the soul exists in some celestial realm before we're born.
Up in the stars somewhere.
And to be born, the soul has to descend into matter. It falls from the sky into a body.
So in this allegory, the boat is the body.
Yes. The boat's the body, the passengers are the souls, and the ocean is the chaotic physical world.
So if the boat is the body, what's the storm? What's the tempest?
The tempest represents the passions. You know, emotions, desires, fear, anger. When a soul is up in the stars, it's serene. But the moment it crashes into a physical body, it gets buffeted by all these biochemical urges and chaotic feelings.
That is the storm.
That is the storm.
Walker points out some really granular text clues for this. I want to talk about the star that Prospero mentions.
Right. Prospero says his success depends on a most auspicious star.
And Walker says this is Arcturus.
He identifies it as Arcturus, and in the time of the poet Virgil, Arcturus rose in mid-September.
Which is the autumnal equinox again, the balance point.
But more importantly, the rising of Arcturus was culturally associated with massive storms. It was a terrible omen for sailors. So the writer is linking the specific timing of the play to this ancient idea of cosmic turbulence.
And there's another clue, a linguistic one, that I totally missed. It's the bosun. He's yelling at the crew, "Hey, my hearts! Cheerly, cheerly, my hearts!"
It sounds like he's just saying, have courage, my hearts.
But the spelling in the original folio is ambiguous. And Walker argues it means hearts, H-A-R-T-S, like the male deer.
Yeah.
Why would he be calling sailors deer? I mean, that seems like a stretch.
It connects to the Greek myth of Actaeon. Do you remember that one?
Vaguely. He was the hunter who saw something he shouldn't have.
Exactly. He saw the goddess Diana naked while she was bathing, and for his punishment, she turned him into a hart, a stag.
And then his own hunting dogs.
His own dogs, who didn't recognize him, tore him to pieces.
That's visceral.
It's a metaphor for being consumed by your own desires, your own dogs turning on you.
So if the sailors are hearts, the play is saying they are souls about to be besieged by their own animal nature.
Precisely. And Shakespeare even uses this exact metaphor in Twelfth Night. He writes about desires being like fell and cruel hounds pursuing a heart. So it's a double meaning. It signals the beginning of the struggle against the passions.
That's incredibly deep. And speaking of words, the word tempest itself, I just thought it meant storm.
It does, but look at the root. It comes from the Latin tempestus, which comes from tempus.
Time.
Time. So the soul isn't just falling into a body, it's falling into time. In the celestial realm, everything is eternal. On Earth, we are bound by the clock. We age, we decay. The tempest is the shock of entering a world governed by time and death.
Okay, so the soul crashes into the body, the shipwreck happens. Now the characters are on the island. This is where Walker says the play stops being just a story and starts mirroring the actual rituals of the Eleusinian Mysteries.
Right. And this is where you have to look at the sensory experience of the play. The mysteries weren't just lectures, they were immersive theater.
They use sound, light.
Some scholars even argue psychedelics to induce altered states. They wanted to shock the initiate into a new reality.
Walker brings up the bull roarer.
This is a fascinating connection. In the ancient rituals, the priests used a device called a rhombos, or konos.
What is that?
It was basically a flat piece of wood on a string that you'd swing around your head. It started as a low hum, but it grew into this terrifying, unearthly roar. It sounded like a bull, or a lion, or the rushing wind.
And in the play, the characters hear exactly that. They describe it as a hollow burst of bellowing, like bulls, or rather lions.
It's too specific to be a coincidence. Walker says that's a direct reference to the instrument used to frighten initiates in the dark.
Speaking of the dark, let's talk about all the sleeping. Everyone in this play seems to be taking a nap at the weirdest times.
Right. The sailors are asleep below deck. The king and his court fall into a strange drowsiness.
It's not just a plot device.
No, it's the temple sleep.
Yeah.
In the Mysteries, the initiate was often placed into a trance, a death-like sleep, sometimes for 3 days.
3 days. And the play takes place over 3 hours.
Representing those 3 days. The idea was that while the physical body slept, the subtle body, the astral body, would detach and wander the spiritual realms.
So the mariner sleeping below deck is the physical body being shut down so the soul can go explore.
Exactly.
Walker brings in a modern comparison here that I found genuinely creepy, but also kind of cool. A guy named Oliver Fox. Who was he?
Fox was a writer in the early 20th century who documented his experiments with astral projection, and he described the physical sensation of the soul leaving the body. He talked about hearing a loud click in the brain, followed by terrifying noises and flashes of light.
Which sounds exactly like what Ariel describes doing to the ship. I flamed amazement, burning in many places. Thunder, fire, cracks.
It implies that the author, Bacon or Shakespeare, didn't just know the academic history of these rituals. They knew the experience. They knew what it felt like to enter an altered state where the physical world dissolves.
So the souls are on the island. They're in this altered state. But they don't all have the same experience.
Right.
Walker groups them into 3 distinct paths.
Just like the initiates in the Mysteries. You have the good, the evil, and the wanderers.
Let's break those down. The good path is Ferdinand.
Ferdinand is the soul who's ready for enlightenment. He washes up and goes straight to Prospero's cell, which is the temple. He doesn't need to be punished. He just needs to be tested.
Right.
He carries logs, endures hardship, but he moves toward the light. He gets the girl, the blessing.
Then you have the evil path, Caliban, Stefano, and Trincula.
Their path is downward. In the Mysteries, the impure were driven away from the temple into the lakes of Rados.
The filthy lakes.
And in the play, Ariel leads these 3 into a filthy, mantled pool behind the cell, a stinking swamp, and then they get hunted by dogs.
Diverse spirits in shape of dog and hounds. The hearts and hounds imagery again.
Their own animal natures turn against them because they haven't mastered them.
But the group I think most of us would fall into is the third one, the wanderers, the king's party.
This represents the majority of humanity. They aren't saints like Ferdinand, but they aren't monsters like Caliban. They are just confused. They wander in errors and uncertainties through a maze.
They're lost in the illusion.
Exactly. They require purification. That's why that strange drowsiness falls on them. They have to stop their frantic motion and sleep to reset.
Okay, I want to pivot to one of the strangest specific symbols Walker highlights. It's about Ariel's backstory. Before Prospero showed up, the witch Sycorax trapped Ariel inside a pine tree.
For 12 years.
For 12 years. Why a pine tree? I mean, of all the trees, why a pine?
Walker connects this to anatomy. And you have to remember, in the 17th century, science and mysticism were pretty much the same thing.
Right.
He argues the pine tree represents the physical body, but specifically the pine cone-shaped gland in the brain.
The pineal gland.
The pineal gland. Even Descartes called it the seat of the soul. The ancient mystics believed it was the connection point between spirit and matter. So Ariel, the spirit, is trapped inside the pineal gland.
Locked inside the dense physical body. For 12 years.
And again, that number 12 is crucial. It represents the zodiac.
Of course it does.
The soul, passing through the 12 signs of the zodiac, is the classic metaphor for the cycle of incarnation. A full cycle of living in a body.
And then Prospero shows up, frees him, but then commands him for another 12 years.
A second cycle. Initiation. After that second cycle is done, Ariel is released. To the elements be free. The soul is liberated from the wheel of birth and death.
It's a lot of astrology for a play about a wizard. But Walker says this isn't just about looking backward at ancient history. It's also about the future.
Right. This is where the Bacon authorship theory really tries to land the plane. If you accept that Francis Bacon is the mind behind this, then the play is also an allegory for his life's work.
The discovery device.
Bacon famously compared the pursuit of knowledge to a ship sailing beyond the Pillars of Hercules, sailing beyond the known world.
So the island isn't just a place for rituals. It's the destination.
It's the island of truth. And this explains something that's bugged geographers for centuries. The play is supposedly set in the Mediterranean.
Sailing from Tunis to Italy.
Right. But the descriptions of the island, The flora, the storms, they all sound like the Caribbean or the Americas. It's a geographical mashup.
And that's on purpose.
Walker argues it's a dual location intentionally. The Mediterranean represents the old world ancient knowledge, the mysteries, the past. The New World imagery represents the new sciences, the future.
So the play is a bridge.
Exactly. It connects the Uska Adaras, the ancient altars, with the new intellectual globe. Prospero is the Magus. He's the scientist-philosopher who has learned to control nature, not just pray to it.
That's a powerful image. It transforms the Tempest from a fairy tale into a guidebook.
A guidebook for the wanderers.
So let's wrap this up. What are we supposed to take away from this? If Walker is right, Shakespeare or Bacon left us a hologram.
It is a hologram. It layers the cosmic battle of light and dark, the biological birth of the soul, the ritual initiation of the mind, and the scientific future of humanity all into one script.
It makes me think about that strange drowsiness that the characters feel. Well, if the play is a map of the human condition, are we the king's party? Are we just wandering around in a maze of errors and uncertainties, distracted by our passions?
Waiting for the spell to break.
Yeah, waiting to wake up. Walker seems to suggest that the Tempest isn't just something that happens on a boat. It's happening inside us right now, the storm of time and emotion.
And the only way out is to recognize that auspicious star when it rises. To pay attention to the rituals, whatever form they take in your life.
Maybe we need to watch out for the bull roarers in our own lives, the things designed to scare us into submission.
Or perhaps just realize that, like Ariel, we're only trapped in the pine tree for a cycle. Freedom is the end game.
That's a hopeful thought to end on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us into the hidden rites of the Tempest. It certainly changes how I'll read it next time.
It certainly does.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.